Okay, so ever dreamt of becoming a millionaire? I mean, who hasn't, right? We're diving into a story today that might just inspire you. It's about this woman, Odetta Rockhead Kerr, who claims she turned a single dollar into $1 million.
$1 million from $1.
Yeah, you heard that right. And she even made a whole YouTube video about it, breaking down how she did it.
Well, it certainly grabs your attention, doesn't it? Sounds a bit like those too good to be true schemes, you know?
I know, right? But here's the thing, and this is where it's interesting. Her strategy is actually based on some really solid financial principles, especially this thing called compounding. She talks about it a lot.
Compounding, right.
Yeah, she even calls it the eighth wonder of the world in her video. So I'm curious, is it really all that amazing, or is that just, hype?
It's definitely not hype. Compounding is powerful stuff for sure.
Okay, so for those of us who might not be finance gurus, break it down for us. What exactly is compounding?
Okay, imagine a snowball, right, rolling down a hill. It starts small, but with every rotation, it picks up more and more snow,
Yeah.
growing bigger and bigger.
Okay, I get that.
Compounding is similar. You earn interest on your initial investment, right? And then here's the key. That interest you earned, it earns even more interest. It's like this snowball effect, but with your money.
So you're basically earning interest on top of your interest.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really powerful.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this could add up over time.
Exactly. Like let's say you invest just $1 at a 10% annual interest rate. After a year, you'd have $1.10. Not a huge difference, we know, but
But it's a start.
right, it's a start. But the important thing is, in year 2, you're now earning interest on $1.10, not that initial dollar. And that difference over time, that's where the magic happens, especially if you start early, which is something Odetta emphasizes a lot in her video. She actually started investing at 19, even while she was earning minimum wage.
19 years old. Wow. I don't think I even knew what investing was back then.
Right. It's not something we're really taught in school.
Exactly. But it makes you think, how do you even shift your mindset to start thinking about investing so young, especially when you might not have a lot of money to spare?
That's such an important question. And Odetta talks a lot about this, about developing what she calls a saving and investment mindset. And it's not about, hoarding every single dollar. It's more about shifting your perspective to see money as a tool to actually build wealth for your future.
So it's less about, I can afford to invest, and more about, how can I start investing even with a small amount?
Exactly. And, a big part of that, and Odetta really stresses this, is having a strong why, like a clear, motivating reason behind your financial goals.
So what's your why? What are you working towards?
Well, it could be anything, right? It could be early retirement, buying your dream house, traveling the world, whatever truly speaks to you. The point is, having that strong why, it helps you stay focused, stay disciplined, and stick with it for the long haul.
Makes sense. So having that why, that's like your North Star, right? It guides you when things get tough. But okay, you're feeling motivated, you've got your why figured out, you're ready to start investing. What are the actual practical steps? Where do you even begin putting your money?
Right, so you could have a plan,
Right.
right? It's not just about, like, throwing money at something and hoping for the best. Odetta's a big advocate for automating your investments. It's like setting your savings on autopilot, which can be a game changer, especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah, automation, I've heard that from a lot of financial experts. Something about making it easier to stay consistent.
Exactly. You set it up once, and then it just happens automatically without you having to think about it each month.
Mm-hmm.
No more relying on willpower or remembering to make that transfer manually.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Uh,
Love that. But okay, so the money's being set aside consistently, but where is it actually going? Idena mentions these things called like low-cost index funds.
right.
What are those exactly? Are those a good place to start for someone who's like totally new to investing?
They can be a great starting point, definitely. In the simplest terms, an index fund is basically like a basket of stocks.
Okay.
And this basket, it tracks a specific market index like the S&P 500.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So the S&P 500, that represents like 500 of the biggest publicly traded companies in the U.S., so it gives you a really broad exposure to the market.
So instead of trying to pick individual stocks, hoping you're going to pick the winners, you're spreading your money across a whole bunch of companies.
Exactly. You're diversifying,
Mm-hmm.
which is super important.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and all that.
Exactly. And because index funds are passively managed, meaning like they're not constantly buying and selling stocks based on some like prediction or hunch,
Right.
they tend to have lower fees compared to actively managed funds.
So lower fees, that means more money in your pocket in the long run.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And less for those Wall Street guys.
All right. I like the sound of that.
Odetta actually gives this really interesting tip in her video. She recommends using ChatGPT.
Oh, the AI chatbot everyone's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. To actually find similar low-cost index fund options, but like in your specific country.
That's really smart, using AI to kind of demystify this stuff and make it more accessible.
Right. It's like having this super smart financial advisor in your pocket,
Yeah.
helping you find the right investments.
I love it. Okay, so we're automating our savings. We're putting that money into low-cost index funds. We're feeling good. But what about those times when you're like, I'm super on board with this whole investing thing, but I just don't have much to invest in the first place? You know, how do you actually get more money flowing in so you can invest even more?
Right. Got to start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
And this is where Odetta's side hustle philosophy comes in. She's a huge advocate for, finding ways to monetize your skills, generate some extra income on the side. She talks about using platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, things like that, to find freelance gigs, use her skills to bring in a bit more money.
That makes sense, especially these days. It seems like everyone's got a side hustle going on. But I imagine it can be tough, juggling that on top of everything else. What kept her motivated?
She talks about this idea of reinvesting everything. So like any extra income that came in from her side hustles, she wouldn't immediately spend it. She'd channel it right back into her investments.
So delaying gratification, putting off smaller rewards now for the potential of a much bigger reward down the line.
Exactly. And she also emphasizes avoiding what she calls lifestyle inflation. Like as her income grew, she resisted the urge to, constantly upgrade her lifestyle. No fancy cars or like designer handbags. She maintained her frugal habits and kept her focus on the bigger picture.
That's incredible. It really shows the power of discipline and having that long-term vision, sticking with it even when it's not always glamorous. Now, she also mentioned something about tax-advantaged accounts in her video. What are those, and how do they play into this whole $1 million strategy?
Oh, that's a great point. Tax-advantaged accounts. Yeah, they're a really important piece of the puzzle that a lot of people, they overlook them.
Yeah, for sure. It can feel kind of intimidating, all that financial jargon.
Right, exactly. But basically, these accounts, they're designed to help you save on taxes, which means, more money staying in your pocket. Odetta specifically talks about 401ks and Roth IRAs, which are pretty common options, at least in the U.S.
Right, those ring a bell. But maybe a quick refresher for anyone who's like, wait, what were those again?
For sure. So a 401k, it's a retirement savings plan that's often offered through employers. And the great thing is contributions are usually tax deferred. Meaning you don't pay taxes on that money until you withdraw it in retirement.
Ah, okay.
So it grows tax-free for all those years. Plus, and this is a big plus, some employers, they'll even match a portion of what you contribute.
Wow, so it's like free money just for saving for retirement.
Exactly. Can't beat that.
Definitely not. What about those Roth IRAs?
Right, so with a Roth IRA, you contribute after-tax dollars, but here's the difference. The money you put in, it grows tax-free, and you don't pay taxes on withdrawals in retirement either. So it's like, do you want the tax break now, or do you want a bigger tax break later?
Interesting. So it's about strategizing, figuring out what works best for your situation.
Exactly.
Now, Odetta also mentioned HSAs, these health savings accounts. Are those mainly for healthcare expenses? Or can they be used for investing too?
Good question. Yeah, so you're right. HSAs are primarily designed for healthcare costs, but, and this is where it gets kind of interesting, they offer this triple tax advantage.
Triple tax advantage. Okay, now you've got my attention.
Yeah. So contributions are tax deductible, the money grows tax-free, and then withdrawals for like qualified medical expenses, those are tax-free as well.
Wow, talk about maximizing those tax benefits. That's amazing. But this all sounds very U.S.-centric. What about people listening in other parts of the world? Are there similar options available to them?
Absolutely. While the specific names and rules might be different depending on where you live, the general concept of tax-advantaged investing, that exists globally. And actually, Odetta suggests using, remember ChatGPT?
Our AI friend.
Exactly. Use that to find similar options, but in your specific country.
That's such a good tip. Love that.
Like your own personal financial researcher.
Exactly. But of course, it's always a good idea to talk to a qualified financial advisor too. They can give you personalized advice based on, your specific situation.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Financial advisors are invaluable. They can help you navigate all these options, create a solid plan. Can't recommend it enough.
So, to kind of bring it all home, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, from the power of compounding and automating our savings to side hustles, and of course, maximizing those returns with these tax advantaged accounts. And it seems like the biggest takeaway from Odetta's story is that it's not about some magic formula, right? It's about making smart, consistent choices over time.
Exactly. And starting early if you can.
Yeah.
Her story is so inspiring because it shows that financial freedom, it's not just for like the wealthy or the lucky few. It's about taking control of your financial future. It's possible for anyone.
It's been really eye-opening to see how those small, consistent actions can really snowball into something life-changing. And it makes you realize it's not even just about the money itself, is it?
hmm
It's about the freedom and the opportunities that come with having that solid financial foundation.
100%. It's about having the flexibility to pursue your passions, spend time with your loved ones, make choices that align with your values, and not be constantly stressed or worried about money.
That's what we all want, right? Financial peace of mind.
Exactly.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with today?
For me, it's don't underestimate the power of starting small. Even if it's just a few dollars a week right now, the magic of compounding, like we talked about, coupled with disciplined saving and smart investing, it can lead to amazing results. Odetta's story is proof. Start where you are, use the resources you have available to you, and never stop learning. Your future self will definitely thank you for it.
Love it. Such wise words to end on. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, everyone. We hope you found it insightful and motivating. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving towards those financial dreams.